My brother laughed when I said I was starting a business. Now he's sitting in my office waiting to be interviewed by me. A few years back, I was a disappointment of the family. Dropped out of college during my second year because I couldn't see myself drowning in debt for a degree I didn't want. Instead, I started tinkering with an idea I had for a business, an online platform for small, independent service providers to connect with clients more easily. Not groundbreaking at the time, just something I believed in. My brother, Mike, was the golden child. Degree from a top school, high-paying corporate job, and a personality that made family dinners feel like LinkedIn networking events. When I told him I was launching my startup, he literally laughed in my face and said, "So you're choosing to be unemployed with extra steps?" We drifted after that. I stopped coming to family gatherings where he'd smugly talk about bonuses and promotions, while I was pulling 14-hour days with no guarantee of income. Fast forward to now. After 3 years of blood, sweat, ramen, and sleepless nights, the platform took off. We raised seed funding, scaled hard, and eventually became a major player in the freelance tech space. I'm now the founder and CEO of a company with 80-plus employees. And, ironically, Mike got laid off in a round of cuts at his firm a few months back. Guess who applied for a job last week? I didn't even recognize the name until HR flagged it and brought it to me. Michael, last name, applying for a project management position. I told him to schedule an interview in my office. He walked in, all nervous energy and forced confidence. The moment he saw me behind the desk, I swear his face went pale. I didn't even say anything at first. Just smiled and said, "Mike, good to see you. Ready to tell me why you're a good fit for the job." We had a very interesting conversation. I didn't humiliate him. I'm not that petty. But I asked real questions, challenged him, and made it clear I wasn't just a younger brother he used to mock. I was the one with the final say. In the end, I told HR we're going another direction. I don't need someone who never believed in the mission running part of my team. After I told HR we were going a different direction, I figured that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The next day, I got a text from my mom. "Did you really reject your own brother's job application? What's wrong with you?" Apparently, Mike went straight to her after the interview. He didn't tell her the full story, of course. Just that I let it get personal and held a grudge. According to him, I torpedoed his chance at employment just to get back at him. At first, I was furious. I almost typed out a long response about how he used to call me a bum, how he told our cousins I was pretending to be an entrepreneur, how he laughed when I maxed out 2 credit cards to keep my servers running. But I stopped myself. Instead, I called my mom, and I told her everything. The years of disrespect, the way he publicly dismissed me every chance he got, and how now, when the tables had finally turned, he expected me to forget it all like nothing ever happened. She went quiet for a long time. Then she just said, "You've changed." I thought about that a lot. Yes, I've changed. I had to. You don't build something from the ground up without growing thicker skin. But what hit me hardest was this. When I needed support the most, they were silent. Or worse, mocking. Now that I have something to offer, suddenly I'm the selfish one for not handing it out. But it didn't end there. A few days later, Mike emailed me directly. No HR, no middlemen, just a straight-up apology. He said he regretted how he treated me, that he never really believed in what I was doing, but now he sees how wrong he was. He didn't ask for the job again. He didn't beg. He just said he was sorry. And for the first time, it felt real. So now I'm sitting here, rereading that email. The question isn't whether I could give him a second chance. So, after getting that sincere apology email from Mike, I spent a few days wrestling with what to do next. I decided to invite him over, not for a formal interview, but for a heart-to-heart. We met at my favorite coffee shop, the place I used to hang out when I was broke and dreaming. At first, it was awkward. He stumbled over his words, tried to explain how scared he was after losing his job, how he'd realized that success isn't just about the fancy degree or a paycheck. Then I dropped the bomb. I told him I wasn't going to hire him, not because I didn't believe in second chances, but because he wasn't ready for this company. What I'm building isn't just about profit. It's about passion, resilience, and grit. And frankly, he needed to earn his place, not just expect it because he's my brother. But here's the kicker. I offered him a deal. I'm sending him to work under one of my top managers, starting from the ground up, just like I did. No special treatment. He'll learn the business, the grind, and if he proves himself worthy, maybe one day he gets a seat at the table. He looked shocked, and honestly a little relieved, because this wasn't about punishing him. It was about making sure he earned it, that he understood what it really means to build something. Fast forward a few weeks, and he's already showing signs of change. Humble, hardworking, even started coming to family events with a different attitude. The real plot twist? I think he might actually become the best hire I've ever made. Funny how life works when you flip the script. I think to really understand the whole saga with my brother and the company, you have to know where I started. Growing up, I was never the smart or successful kid. I struggled in school, wasn't great at sports, and dropped out of college during my sophomore year. The moment I told my family, it was like I dropped a bomb. They looked at me like I was some kind of failure, a lost cause. My brother, Mike, on the other hand, was a star. Straight A student, college scholarship, corporate job lineup by graduation. Our parents were proud of him and made sure everyone knew it. I was the black sheep, the lazy one with no direction. After dropping out, I bounced between odd jobs, barely scraping by. I wasn't just broke financially. I felt broken in spirit. I wanted to prove them wrong, but I didn't know where to start. Then I got an idea. I noticed how many freelancers and small service providers struggled to find clients and get paid reliably. So I started building a platform, a simple website where people could connect safely and efficiently. It wasn't easy. I maxed out credit cards, pulled all-nighters, and faced more rejection than I can count. My family didn't support me. Some openly said I was wasting my time. Mike called me delusional. But slowly, things changed. The platform started to get users, then investors, then more users. Now, it's a thriving business with dozens of employees. I'm still the same person in many ways, but now I have proof that failure is never final, and that sometimes the biggest setbacks are just the beginning of something greater. So when Mike showed up asking for a job, I wasn't just running a business. I was running a family lesson in respect and hard work. So everything was looking up. Mike was learning fast, showing promise, and honestly, I was proud. I wanted him to succeed, not just for family peace, but because I believe people can change. But then things took a turn. It started small, coming in late, missing deadlines, half-hearted efforts on projects that mattered. I tried to chalk it up to the adjustment period, but the pattern grew. One afternoon, I caught him scrolling through his phone during a team meeting, something I never would have tolerated from anyone else. I pulled him aside and asked, "What's going on?" He shrugged and said, "I'm trying, man. It's just harder than I thought." I get it. The transition from corporate comfy chair to startup hustle is brutal. But this wasn't just struggling, it was slacking. The problem wasn't just his work. It was how it affected the team. They looked up to me for leadership, and now they were watching my brother coast. So I had to have the hardest talk yet. I reminded him why he was here, not for a handout, but to earn his place. That respect is a two-way street, and if he wanted to be part of this, he had to bring his A game. No excuses. He looked defeated, maybe even ashamed. I hoped that was the wake-up call he needed. But I also knew this was a make-or-break moment for both of us. After that talk, I wasn't sure what to expect. We finally buckled down and proved he deserved a second chance? Or would this just be the beginning of a bigger disaster? The next week was tense. I watched him closely, expecting either improvement or excuses. At first, things looked promising. He showed up on time, stayed late, even asked questions to understand the work better. I thought maybe he was turning a corner, but then the cracks reappeared. One day, a big project deadline came and went, without his part finished. The team scrambled to pick up the slack. When I confronted him, he said he had a lot going on and promised it wouldn't happen again. It did. That night, I called my mom, told her the truth. I'm proud of how far Mike's come, but if this keeps up, it could destroy everything, not just the company, but our relationship. Her response? Family is family. You have to find a way. But what if family doesn't mean unconditional support? What if it means holding people accountable, even if it hurts? I'm at a crossroads. Do I keep pushing him, risking more fallout? Or do I protect the company, even if it means cutting ties? Sometimes success isn't just about what you build, but what you're willing to lose. After weeks of struggling with Mike's slipping performance and the mounting pressure from the team, I knew what I had to do. It wasn't easy. I called him into my office for what I knew would be the conversation, the one that could change everything. I told him, honestly and painfully, that I couldn't risk the company's future or the team's morale anymore. That family loyalty didn't mean ignoring problems that could sink us all. He looked crushed, angry, hurt. A part of me wanted to reach across the desk and tell him it was okay, that this wasn't the end. But the other part knew that true respect, from family or business, had to be earned, not demanded. I offered him two choices: take a leave of absence to get himself together, or part ways permanently. For the first time, Mike was silent. No excuses, no promises, just a weight of what he'd done and what this meant for both of us. He chose to leave. The office felt emptier without him. So did family gatherings. But something shifted. We both learned that love isn't always easy. Sometimes it's about tough love, accountability, and growth. And as hard as it was, I believe this was the right call. Because sometimes success means making the hardest decisions, even when it's about the people you care about most. After the hardest decision to let Mike go, I thought maybe the dust would settle. Nope. Family pressure hit me like a freight train. My parents called nonstop, not to check on me, but to question why I cut family out over a job. My mom even said, "Blood is thicker than business," like that was supposed to make me feel guilty. Extended family started whispering behind my back. Suddenly, I was a ruthless sibling, the one who put a business before family. Cousins I barely knew reached out with thinly veiled judgment. It felt like I was being punished for protecting the company, the thing I created with my own blood, sweat, and tears. I get it. Family loyalty is important. But where do you draw the line when that loyalty risks everything you built? I tried explaining how I gave Mike every chance, how it wasn't personal, but most of them didn't want to hear it. Some nights, I wonder if it was worth it. The lost family support, the whispers, the cold shoulders. But then I remember why I started this journey in the first place. To prove that failure isn't final. That respect and trust have to be earned. And that sometimes being the villain in your family story is the price of building something real. After weeks of silence and tension, Mike finally reached out. His message was humble and honest, admitting his mistakes and asking if he could start over. I won't lie, I was skeptical. The past few months have been rough for both of us, and trust isn't rebuilt overnight. But I also remember what this was about: growth, respect, and earning your place. So I agreed to meet him. Our conversation was real, No excuses, no blame. Just honesty and a shared desire to fix what we broke. I made it clear this would be a slow process. He's got to prove his commitment through actions, not words. Starting from the bottom, earning trust, and showing he's serious every day. This isn't about favoritism. It's about accountability. And if he's willing to work for it, I'm willing to give him a shot. Family is complicated. Business is complicated. But sometimes both can grow stronger together. It's been a few weeks since Mike came back, starting fresh and trying to prove himself. At first, I was watching every move, cautious not to let past frustrations cloud my judgment. He's shown moments of real effort, staying late, asking questions, actually contributing. But old habits die hard. There have been slip-ups, moments when I catch myself doubting him or feeling frustrated when things don't go perfectly. What struck me most is how much this process isn't just about work. It's about healing years of hurt, misunderstandings, and family drama. I've realized that rebuilding trust isn't a linear path. It's messy, full of setbacks, but also small victories. And honestly, sometimes I wonder if we can truly fix what broke. But I'm committed to trying. Because if this business and this family are going to survive, we have to be willing to put in the work, even when it's hard. For now, I'm holding on to those small wins and hoping they lead to something bigger.